it's a really big challenge with how just the whole world's infrastructure is regarding like serving of food and drink. Like you see Starbucks cups in that photo there, and if you're going to Starbucks or Panera or any place where you're getting a coffee or a drink, you're not going to hand them a cup and be like, here, use my cup, because it's inconvenient for them, it's inconvenient for you perhaps, and that's a challenge. But something that I noticed this week coming back from break is all the students buying the cases of water bottles. What's the point? There's water bottle fillers in every single building on campus. You just everyone has a water bottle. You can reuse those too. So I think there's ways as individuals that we can start to move towards reducing our consumption, but on the whole, like, public scale, it is a challenge just because of what the infrastructure is like.
Yeah, I completely hear you. Like you were talking about, what we were talking about with these networks, the way that society is constructed around the use of single-use plastic, the use of these efficient systems, and we need to slow down in order to make those changes. So thank you for sharing that. Who else? Oh, we have some in the front here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Molly.
Hi, Molly.
I totally get what Brendan was saying, my lab mate, shout out back there. But my partner and I were talking a lot about, first of all, you can bring your own cup to Starbucks. They actually take off 10 cents because it helps them and it helps you, so definitely do that. And my partner and I were talking that while there is so much that we can do, like I can take 6-minute showers, I can recycle everything, I can try not to throw out as much as I can. I feel like in this class we really emphasize a lot that we can do and a lot that me personally can do. And while that's so important to think about, it's also like the harder thing to think about is that like it really comes to the accountability of the higher people and the celebrities who take their private jets everywhere, and people who thoughtlessly emit more carbon than I could in my lifetime. And I think that like me wanting to take a shorter shower, yes, does my part, and I will continue to do that. But I think we really need to think about what we can do to prevent them from doing what they're doing, and which is a completely different topic. But say no to single-use containers. Don't buy plastic water bottles because that's just stupid. But
well, one thing that I heard you talking about was how important was that me?
I don't know if that was me. The speaker's right there. So
well, anyway, no problem. But one thing that I heard you talk about was how you need to take accountability for like what you can do. And so people of higher, that have more resources, have more ability to do things, they also need to be buying in to these things that they can do. Is that kind of what you were saying?
And just not being selfish.
Not being selfish. And that's something that came up last lecture, talking about why are we in this? Greed,
and that all goes back to everything like the speciesist. Right?
Speciesism?
Yeah, speciesism.
Yeah. Seeing ourselves as above all the other
exactly.
life forms.
Like being selfish with the world.
Yeah.
Because regardless, humans are a selfish species. There's not much we can do about that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have anything to share? Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, we have one more here in the front. Oh, we have another one. Okay, we'll get to you.
Oh, hi. My name's Hawk. And
hi,
the reason I was talking to my partner earlier about saying no to single-use containers. I just wanted to say, like, plastic they will end up in the ocean, and they will become microplastic. And the fish would like mistakenly eat that, like thinking it's like a microplankton. And at the end of the day, we humans are on top of the food chain, so the plastic will gonna be in our bloodstream. We're gonna end up consuming plastic at the end of the day. So that's why we say no to single-use containers.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah. the bioaccumulation, that those plastics also break down and turn into endocrine disruptors, which we'll be talking about later in this lecture. And yeah, it's not only the environment, but also ourselves that are being affected. Yeah.
Autumn, we have someone up here.
Okay, hold on one second.
So I feel like people are often misled about like what's recyclable, what's not. They see a paper coffee cup and they're like, oh, I can recycle that. But the wax coating on it, you can't recycle it. Can't recycle pizza boxes once they've been used, but they still get to put the recycle logo on there because before they're used, you can recycle just the clean box. So people don't feel as guilty because they see that they can recycle it, when in reality, putting that in taints the entire batch of recycling material, as well as the celebrities using private jets was brought up. But like, I feel like a big example is Taylor Swift, because that came out on social media like a while ago. But she wouldn't be flying if it weren't for her fans that were paying to see her in those concerts.
That's
so you
So
can't-
again, that goes back to, the interconnection of all of it. So when we buy a Taylor Swift ticket, I hear some little chattering there. But as we buy a Taylor Swift ticket, that impacts everybody, right? Taylor Swift included.
Yeah, so you can't like blame Taylor Swift for flying that much when it's because of her fans that she's doing it. So
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll take one more.
One on the balcony.
One on the balcony.
Autumn, up here to your left.
Oh,
Okay.
nah, that's crazy.
Right here.
Okay,
Oh, nah.
I see you.
Okay.
So I play a lot of golf, and I like to play golf with bare feet. And one time, the golf
Heck yeah.
course that I
Let's do
work
it.
at, the superintendent came up to me while I was playing, and he told me all about the chemicals that are in the golf course, and that like our feet are very absorbent of those chemicals, and how bad that actually is for me. But also, just like in the dining halls, seeing all the styrofoam and cups that we don't reuse, just because it's more convenient for us to walk to the trash can instead of to the dish washers, is kind of a shame.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. We're going to talk about skin absorption very soon, and that's a very important thing to keep in mind, not only when you're walking bare feet, but also the products that you're putting on your skin. So thank you. If you would like, actually what was mentioned about styrofoam, you can go to this website and find different ways to recycle different products. So you just type in your zip code, and then it'll give you like where to recycle your batteries, where to recycle styrofoam. There are some places that take it and then can repurpose it into other materials. So I would encourage you to write that down, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this. So now Jen is going to share more about skin absorption and chemicals on the skin.
That's right. So those single-use plastics, if we think about what are those personal care products that someone up here mentioned earlier, that are all coming in single-use plastics as well. All these products that go from the shelves, they've been created, and then they get transported empty, and then they get filled, and then they go to the shelves, and then they go into your medicine cabinet, right? And then they go onto your skin. And so thinking about what is in those products, somebody mentioned, this great, I'm going to see if I can find that app. Thinking about shampoo and toothpaste and soap and deodorant and hair products, the conditioner, the lip balm, the sunscreen, the body lotion, the shaving products, the cosmetics, the makeups, concealers, aftershaves, perfumes, colognes, cream, all wrapped in plastic, making their way onto our faces and onto our bodies. On average, the females today use 12 products with about 12 ingredients each, and males use 6 products with 12 ingredients each. And so what's happening there is that the human skin is our largest organ on our body, 16 square feet. And as he mentioned, highly absorbent, particularly, our faces, our feet, areas of our skin that are very soft and supple. That means that we are actually getting some of our external oxygen is being absorbed through our skin. And as you know, medicine can also be absorbed through the skin. Ointments or adhesive patches, such as the nicotine patch. So we can figure these out. Now, the app is cool. I look forward to figuring that out. But there's also this website. You might want to jot this down, www.ewg.org/skin deep. Personal care products are manufactured with 10,500 unique chemical ingredients, some of which are known or suspected carcinogens, meaning they're causing cancer. They're disrupting the endocrine system, which Autumn is going to talk about in just a few minutes. There is no pre-market safety testing required for these industrial chemicals that are going into these products. Less than 20% are tested for health effects in our body. So when we use these chemicals, the stakes are high, right? We're taking risks. And sometimes we don't even know that we're taking risks. So why do I choose to use these products? Ben's going to open this video for us. I'd like you to take this in. It's called Putting on a Face.
No.
This one isn't it, Ben. Let's try the other one.
There was once a village along a river. The people who lived here were very kind.
Ben, this
Residents, according to parable,
is the wrong video.
began to
Yep.
It's the next one. There you go.
Thank you. So this part of the course was moving for a student named Caitlin. Thinking about makeup, she wrote this in her journal. As a woman in America, I was taught that makeup is supposed to be a symbolism of feminism and beauty, and I began applying it as soon as my parents allowed. I welcomed it as part of my womanhood. However, in recent months, I have begun to see the ridiculousness of it, as it is used to create a kind of alternate identity. For years, I used it to make my face look better, while what I was really doing was hiding or creating a mask to hide behind. My makeup allowed me to live a lie. So I finally decided to do something heroic, namely to remove makeup from my routine. This has meant convincing myself not to go to the makeup bag if I feel like my face is particularly unimpressive or unattractive on a certain day. So now, in the morning, I stand in front of the mirror and look myself in the eyes to take in what is actually my face. I tell myself that this face holds heritage, history, genetics, and individuality. If I, along with others, cannot accept it for face value, then I am failing to appreciate the woman I am. Walking around all day without makeup has been an enlightening experience. If I need to rub my eyes or if it starts to rain all of a sudden, I need not worry about smudging it, and I can comfort myself in knowing that my current appearance is all me with no help. I've been forcing myself to maintain solid, confident eye contact with others so that they too can take in an unenhanced face, and most of the time they accept it. It turns out my face does not need black lines and red accents. That was all a culturally imposed theory. My face no longer belongs to the corporations selling artificial enhancers. I am reclaiming it and returning it back to its home, the earth. It turns out that nature, the nature that is me, needs no help from Maybelline to be complete. Here's Caitlin. And she made some more changes in order to use less product and to distinguish that her identity is not based on her looks. So making changes. Caitlin was able to question the cultural story. She reflected on the possibilities. She felt how it might feel to change the story, and she made a choice. She made a choice to act. So that's one story of making change, of possibility. Autumn's going to tell you another powerful woman's story.
So this is Sandra Steingraber. She grew up in Indiana, and she wrote a book called Living Downstream that talked about the effects of cancer in the environment. She suspected that there was a cancer cluster in her area, and because she was diagnosed with bladder cancer at age 20. And so after writing this book, Living Downstream, when she became pregnant, she got interested in toxicology related to pregnancy and breastfeeding. And so this book kind of focuses on the toxins that are present in breast milk, and that even at the beginning of life, fetuses are already kind of indoctrinated with these chemicals, which is very heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for her to find out. The last book she wrote was called Raising Elijah, Raising Her Child in the Midst of Environmental Crisis. So these three books really were able to follow the course of her life through major life events that we all go through as humans. And she found her voice through studying the science behind toxicology and also feeling deeply the impacts of these toxins. So her voice is very powerful, which is why we're going to watch. Okay, we're not going to watch the video. But if you...
We'll send you a link.
We'll send you a link to the video. But I do want to say that this is something that she says in this video. Our grandchildren will look back on us now and marvel that our economy is dependent on chemicals that are killing our planet and ourselves, and they will think of it as unthinkable. Thank you. So we talked about a bioaccumulation. So this just kind of highlights that, how the water pollution then is consumed by plants or smaller animals into bigger animals and into us, and that it takes a long time for the toxicological effects to be seen in us as humans. And if you go to that Skin Deep website, you're going to see words such as immunotoxicity, endocrine disruption, and bioaccumulation. So we talked about bioaccumulation, immunotoxicity, that's disrupting obviously the immune system, and the endocrine disruptors are a very major factor in chemistry that is trying to be relayed as a part of the education for chemists in that field. But basically what happens is in all of these glands hormones are secreted, right? And this diagram here shows that each receptor site looks kind of like this. It's like a lock and key mechanism. And when the hormone goes into the receptor site, that allows like the hormone dopamine to be produced. And if that site is occupied by some kind of disruptor that looks exactly like that hormone, then dopamine can't be produced, or certain cells can't be produced because they don't have the correct key that's fitting into that lock. So this is happening within our bodies, and a very terrifying part of this is the sperm count crisis. So this is just one example of hormone disruption that is happening within our species and the species of others. So from 1973 to 2011, men have lost nearly 60% of sperm. And I don't know about you, but in the future, I don't want to have to get a sperm count on my boyfriend to determine if I will be able to conceive a child. It's terrifying to think of that, and think of the way that these chemicals are changing our biological functions. So the main point is that everything is interconnected. We can't run this complex civilization without our pharmaceutical industry, without our electrical industry, without being able to get places to see our families, and without the food that we consume. But through this lecture, we have looked at 3 women who have been able to question the status quo, to ask big obvious questions like, why are birds dying? Why should I be wearing makeup? And why are there chemicals in my breast milk? And the common attribute that all these women have is courage. Courage to say no and courage to find their voice. So this is Terry Collins. He's the director of the Institute of Green Science at Carnegie Mellon University. And I want you to read this quote to yourself and think about, how does your course of study relate to the topics we discussed today? If everything is interconnected, that means that all of you came to this university to find a specialization. And we all play a role in knowing about how these chemicals affect us and how we can make changes within our industries to help design a better world. We have time for that question?
No.
Okay. All right, so take that question with you, and thank you for being here today.